This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Welcome to Supernatural Japan, the podcast that explores the haunted history, strange folklore, and mysterious legends and supernatural traditions of Japan. I'm your host, Kevin O'Shea, and today we're traveling into the heart of modern Tokyo. It's a city filled with towering skyscrapers and neon lights, crowded train stations, and millions of people rushing through their daily lives. Yet, hidden amongst the glass office buildings of the Marunouchi Business District lies one of Japan's most sacred and feared locations. It's only a small stone monument surrounded by trees and offerings. No grand temple, no towering castle, just a humble grave. But according to countless stories, disturbing this grave can bring illness, financial ruin, accidents, political disaster, and, of course, even death. For nearly 5,000 years, people have whispered that the restless spirit buried here still watches over Tokyo. Government officials pay their respects. Construction companies avoid disturbing the site, and even today, office workers stop to bow as they pass. The man buried there was once branded a rebel, a warlord, and a traitor. But to others, he became a hero. His name was Taira no Masakado, and many believe he became Japan's most powerful and perhaps most dangerous vengeful spirit. To understand why Masakado became such an enduring legend, we first need to travel back over 1100 years. The early Heian period was an age when the imperial court ruled from Kyoto, but its influence over the distant provinces was often weak. Powerful aristocratic families controlled enormous estates, and ambitious warriors frequently fought over land, taxes, and prestige. Masakado was born around the year 903 into the prestigious Taira clan. Although connected to one of Japan's greatest noble families, he was several generations removed from the imperial line. Like many younger sons of aristocratic houses, his future depended not on inheritance, but on military success. He became a skilled horseman and swordsman and returned to the Kanto region around present-day Tokyo and Chiba, where disputes between powerful families constantly erupted. What began as family disagreements soon escalated into open warfare, and Masakado proved remarkably successful. He defeated rival clans, expanded his territory, and earned the loyalty of local warriors who saw him as a strong leader rather than merely another nobleman from Kyoto. But his growing power alarmed the imperial court. Around the year 939, events took an extraordinary turn. After a series of military victories, Masakado reportedly declared himself the new emperor. Rather, he genuinely intended to overthrow Kyoto or simply sought independence for eastern Japan remains debated by historians. Regardless of his intentions, the imperial court viewed his actions as outright rebellion. An imperial army was assembled to destroy him. Ironically, one of the commanders sent against Masakado was his own cousin, Taira no Sadamori, alongside the warrior Fujiwara no Hidesato. The stage was set for a decisive battle that would change Japanese history. In the winter of 940, the two forces met at the Battle of Kojima. Masakado was badly outnumbered. Legend says a sudden storm erupted during the fighting. As arrows filled the sky, one struck him directly in the forehead, or, according to some versions, through the temple. He fell from his horse, his followers scattered, the rebellion was over, and his head was severed and taken hundreds of kilometers to Kyoto as proof of the imperial court's victory. The authorities quickly displayed it publicly as a warning to anyone who dared challenge imperial rule. But according to legend, Masakado wasn't finished. This is where history gives way to one of Japan's most famous ghost stories. Witnesses reportedly noticed something deeply unsettling. Despite being separated from its body, Masakado's head refused to decay. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and the face remained eerily lifelike. Some claimed the eye still moved. Others swore the mouth opened at night. Then came the screams. People guarding the display supposedly heard the severed head crying out, "Where is my body?" Night after night, the cries became unbearable. Then, according to legend, the head suddenly lifted into the air. That's right, folks. It lifted into the air. It flew eastward, searching for the rest of its body. Now, some stories describe it blazing through the night sky like a comet, and others say it traveled under cover of darkness before finally falling to earth in a small fishing village called Shibasaki. That place is now the Marunouchi district of central Tokyo. Local villagers buried the head with great respect. The grave became known as Masakadozuka, and that is where the real ghost stories begin. Now, there's a great depiction of this flying head, everyone, created by the well-known yokai and Japan supernatural artist Matthew Myers, and I'll be adding that to the Instagram post for this episode. It's pretty cool. Japanese folklore has long believed in the onryo, vengeful spirits whose anger continues after death. Now, of course, the onryo have been a topic of many previous episodes of Supernatural Japan. Unlike ordinary ghosts, an onryo seeks justice or revenge. They can bring disease, natural disasters, political turmoil, and even death. Masakado's violent execution, public humiliation, and unresolved ambitions made him the perfect candidate to become such a spirit. Within decades, strange events were being blamed on his restless soul. Whenever fires, epidemics, earthquakes, or political upheaval struck the capital, rumors spread that Masakado's ghost was responsible. The imperial court eventually became so concerned that it officially enshrined his spirit in hopes of calming him. Instead of treating him solely as a criminal, religious ceremonies began acknowledging his supernatural power. It was safer to honor him than to anger him. Over the years, Masakado's grave developed an extraordinary reputation. Whether someone attempted to move it, remove it, or build over it, disaster supposedly followed. And now some of these stories are impossible to verify, and others are surprisingly well documented. One of the most famous incidents occurred during the Great Kanto earthquake in 1923. Large parts of Tokyo were destroyed, and government planners decided to redevelop the area around Masakado's grave. The monument was removed, and soon afterwards, government officials involved in the project reportedly died unexpectedly or suffered serious accidents. Workers became frightened, construction stopped, the grave was restored. Whether coincidence or curse, few wished to test it any further.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Perhaps the most famous modern legend occurred after World War II. The Japanese Ministry of Finance occupied nearby government buildings. In the late 1940s, officials attempted to level the ground once again as part of redevelopment plans. Not long afterwards, a bulldozer overturned. Workers were injured. Several officials connected to the project reportedly died unexpectedly within a short period, and rumors spread rapidly through Tokyo. The project was abandoned. The grave was rebuilt exactly where it had stood before, and from then on, few government agencies were willing to interfere with it. Whether anyone genuinely believed in the curse hardly mattered. No one wanted to become the next cautionary tale. Today, Masakado's grave sits surrounded by modern office buildings in Tokyo's Marunouchi district. Thousands of office workers walk past it every day, yet the atmosphere changes the moment you step inside the small enclosure. Fresh flowers are regularly placed before the stone monument. Visitors leave sake, coins, water, prayers. Some come seeking protection, and others wish to pay their respects. Executives from nearby companies have been known to stop before major business decisions. Government officials occasionally participate in memorial ceremonies, and even construction workers often avoid pointing machinery directly towards the shrine. Respect has become tradition. Whether motivated by faith, caution, or superstition hardly even matters. Masakado remains one of Tokyo's most influential spirits. Interestingly, Masakado's image has transformed dramatically over the centuries. The imperial court once condemned him as a dangerous traitor, but many people in eastern Japan have come to see him differently. To them, Masakado represented resistance against distant rulers in Kyoto, a protector of the Kanto region, a champion of ordinary people. Today, some even regard him as a guardian deity watching over Tokyo itself. His spirit has become intertwined with the city's identity. He is feared, respected, and in many ways admired. It is a remarkable transformation for a man who died nearly 11 centuries ago. Whether or not one believes in ghosts, Masakado's story reveals something profound about Japanese culture. In many Western traditions, a grave is simply a memorial. In Japan, however, the relationship between the living and the dead often continues long after death. Spirits are remembered, appeased, honored, ignored only at great risk. Masakado's grave survives not because historians insist upon it, but because generations of ordinary people have continued treating it as a place of genuine spiritual power. Every offering left at the shrine, every respectful bow, every whispered warning to avoid disturbing the site, all of these reinforce the legend. And perhaps belief itself is part of what keeps the ghost alive. Nearly 1,100 years after his death, Taira no Masakado continues to cast a long shadow over Japan's capital. His story blurs the line between documented history and enduring legend. Was he simply an ambitious samurai who challenged imperial authority? A misunderstood hero? Or did his violent death truly transform him into one of Japan's greatest onryo, a spirit so powerful that governments, corporations, and ordinary citizens still hesitate to disturb his final resting place? If you ever find yourself walking through Tokyo's financial district, surrounded by some of the most expensive real estate in Japan, take a moment to visit the small grove where Masakado rests. Listen to the sounds of the city, watch office workers quietly bow as they pass, and ask yourself why, after nearly a millennium, a humble grave continues to command such extraordinary respect. Perhaps some legends never truly die, and perhaps some spirits refuse to be forgotten. Thank you for listening to Supernatural Japan. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please consider following the podcast, leaving a review, and sharing it with someone who loves Japanese history, folklore, and the unexplained. If you'd like to see photos of Taira no Masakado's grave in Tokyo and a reel I made earlier this summer about the flying head ghost, follow us on Instagram at Supernatural Japan. And there's a link in the show notes and, of course, at supernaturaljapan.com. Now, I do realize that some folks aren't big fans of the advertisements on the podcast, but we really do need them. They help fund the production of the podcast and the upcoming Supernatural Japan Haunted Japan book that I'm working on. Now, if you'd like to listen to ad-free episodes and have early access, check out the members section over on Patreon. If you become a member, you'll have access to loads of extra spooky and historical content about Japan. The link is in the show notes and over at supernaturaljapan.com. Now, if you'd like to reach out to me with some ideas, feedback, or just to say hello, you can contact me over at Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, or X. The links are all in the show notes. You can also use the contact form over at supernaturaljapan.com. And I really want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to download and listen to the show. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be making this podcast. So everyone, until next time, stay curious and watch out for ghosts.
If you're enjoying the podcast you're listening to right now, and you've got a love of the paranormal, then I'm Rob Kirkup, and I think you might enjoy my show, How Haunted. Every other Friday, I take you to some of the most haunted locations across the UK, with the occasional trip overseas, as we explore the dark history behind each place, and the terrifying ghost stories said to haunt them. Across the year, there are seasonal specials too, including Christmas episodes packed with real listener ghost stories. And every October, the podcast goes weekly, a themed month building towards a big Halloween spooktacular. You'll also join me on real paranormal investigations, ghost hunts in seriously unsettling locations, with audio from the night so you can hear what happens as it happens. So if you're ready for creepy locations, grim history, and stories that follow you long after the lights go out, search How Haunted wherever you get your podcasts. And join me as together we ask, How Haunted?
Welcome to Weekly Creep, a mostly paranormal podcast hosted by me, Adam.
And me, Dulce.
We like to talk about all things strange and spooky.
We've covered everything from werewolves to poltergeists, survival stories, and even a little weird nature because why not? We also enjoy reading listener stories and talking about movies, books, TV shows, and games that we're really into at the moment.
Or going to spooky places and chatting about our experiences, like when I may have received a telepathic image of a little ghost girl at the Stanley Hotel.
Or when I heard high heels walking around my home in the middle of the night.
Anyway, there's over 100 episodes of Weekly Creep already on our feed, so look us up wherever you get your podcasts and get caught up.